What up, nerds, and welcome to another trolling episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode 424, recorded Wednesday, May 17th, 2023. Tonight, we're talking about the winner of the May poll, which is Troll Hunter. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got your boy Randeezy. What's up, man?
What are you going to do to me, Daddy?
How's it going, buddy? Good to see you. It's been a while.
I'm going to feed you to the trolls. That's what I'm going to do with you.
Really? I'm going to...
If my father discovers you here, he'd cut off your little nuts and eat them.
And
I forgot where that bump started.
Your little nuts.
Oh, well. It worked in my head.
Why would her father eat that dude's nuts? That's a
why would he unbelt himself? I don't know. There's a lot of whys that we weren't going to get from that movie.
Maybe
but that's not the movie we're here to talk about, Bob.
Maybe I'm just pissing on hospitality. Sorry about that.
Can't do that.
Last but not least, calling in from South Korea, we got your boy Soju. What's up, man?
Oh, what up? It's your boy. What a friend we have in Jesus. Stains.
Christianity.
Getting that Christian blood boiling. Here we go.
I can smell it from here.
I know you can.
7,000
We're going to have
miles
to talk
away.
about that.
I can smell your Christian blood. Man. Why are his nuts so little? Like, why are they shriveled nuts? What's the deal?
What?
Who are you talking?
Oh, you're talking. He's
going back to troll too.
We have passed on.
Nuts.
We totally checked out on that.
And you can't piss on hospitality. I won't allow it.
We had 3 more jokes.
It's
Bob. Once you hit the third joke, third one back, you forget all about
gone.
it.
Deleted.
No such thing as a running gag in this show.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Deleted.
enough brain. Not enough RAM.
What? It's been a troll heavy couple months, I guess. Yeah, 2 troll movies back to back. Troll 2 and of course Troll Hunter tonight.
It could have been sexy vampires, but here we are.
Could have been. But it's not. That's not what the people wanted. Yeah, this was your takeover month, Juice. You want to remind everybody what it was real quick?
Yeah, so this was, we're going hunting, not cooter hunting, but we were hunting some different mythical beasts. The first choice was Underworld, hunting the Lycans. This one, hunting the trolls. And the third one was, Rain of Fire with the dragons.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is the one that won. It was a close race for the most part with Underworld, but this one took it, which is fine because this movie's awesome.
Yeah, I was surprised it beat Underworld, honestly, but it did. So yeah, we'll be getting to that conversation in a
beat
minute.
Kate Beckinsale in tight leather pants. What is going on?
It's tough to beat that. I'll be honest.
Is it tough?
Yes.
To beat?
Yes,
Yes.
it is.
Well, let's transition into some housekeeping real quick. Speaking of polls, our June poll is currently posted over on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this June. The theme for June is 90s invasion. We got 3 90s alien flicks for you to vote on. They are Mars Attacks, Independence Day, and Body Snatchers.
Whoa, how those numbers looking, Bob?
Body Snatchers is slowly creeping up the charts. Mars Attacks is still at the top, though, and nobody wants to hear us talk about Independence Day.
Well, oh wait,
Hey,
so that's the Yeah,
Me too.
that's the 90s body snatchers, right?
Yes, booty snatchers.
Okay, because that's not. Yeah, I gotcha. Okay, so not the good one.
The okay one. The
I've not seen that one at all, but the reputation preceded it.
It is.
Yeah, I'm just fucking around.
Okay. Yeah, get those votes in before the end of May, and we'll see what we're talking about this June. We got mini casts coming up here. The next one that's about to drop on Friday, May 26th. Juice, you're talking about the HBO miniseries The Last of Us. Actually, I guess it's not a miniseries anymore. They renewed it for a second season, so The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Season 1.
So, well, it got put on hold because of the writer's strike. So I guess we're going to have to swoop in there, boys, and, take some jobs.
All right. Let's cross some picket lines.
Yeah. No, we stand strong. No, we do.
With the Writers Guild.
We stand real strong.
We are a pro-union
We
podcast.
sacrifice a lot but no,
we had to lay off all of our writers here,
unfortunately, but we support them.
But we support.
Last of Us. There was a big hit this year. It was an adaptation of the video game, and I liked it a lot. It kind of catapulted what's that dude's name, Pascal, into the limelight, to the daddy limelight. So he's raking it in now.
Yes, and Mandalorian.
I think he was already there. Yeah, this just helped.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was in the Mandalorian. Honestly,
yeah,
just saving kids.
I always picture him in Game of Thrones. So yeah,
same.
Okay. Yeah. And honestly, I'm not caught up on the Mandalorian. I think I only watched the first season. So,
I'm behind too.
Not hip to that. But anyways, that's our mini cast that's coming out.
That's all we got for Patreon. Anything else you guys want to mention?
Yeah, so by the time our next episode comes out, so it's not out yet, but coming up next Monday, will be the newest Creature Comforts episode. This is our YouTube exclusive spin-off series where I sit down and chat with someone to discuss some thriller movies, horror adjacent most of the time. And this time we are talking about Enemy from 2013. It actually hasn't been recorded yet, so I won't announce the guest until it is officially on record. But either way, I will be talking with someone about Enemy next week. I'm 90% sure that they will show up, but I'll announce it next week.
So this person is 10% unreliable. You're going on record
10%
saying that.
Yeah,
right now.
10%. I'm calling.
All right.
No, I'm sure he will be on time. I'm sure. I'm excited about that because they actually recommended it to me. I had never seen Enemy. It's another Jake Gyllenhaal deal. Yeah. And I was pretty surprised by it. A lot to discuss in that film, too.
It's a weird one, for sure.
Yeah, it's wild.
The last thing I want to mention is at the time of this episode being released, we will have just dropped a new episode of Let's Get Physical Media. Mikey and myself talk about our April pickups. If you have any interest in collecting Blu-rays, 4Ks, or DVDs, and maybe even VHS tapes, check out Let's Get
What about cassettes? Do you collect cassettes?
Actually, I do have a few.
Can I get my phonograph?
Right.
What about compact disc?
Yeah, I still have a small smattering of CDs.
Betamax. We doing Betamax?
Do you have a CB radio of Halloween that I could listen to?
I do. It's on a CB radio.
Somebody just performs it at will, right?
Reads the script for you.
Do you have?
I would listen to this.
Andy Kane reads the script. I don't think that tracks.
Totally.
Or Rusty Nail, I guess. Rusty Nail reads the script.
Damn. Joyride, that's another lost Straight Chillin' episode.
Yeah.
Pour one out.
We got to do it again at some point. We gotta do it.
I wonder if we can pull that audio out of the vault.
I don't even know if I have it, honestly.
It's probably garbage.
It was all corrupt.
I mean, if we didn't release it back then, there's no reason I think it sounds anything close to listenable.
Let's just do it now, 8 years later. Why not?
All right, fuck Troll Hunters. We're doing Joyride tonight. Steve Zahn's magnum opus.
Oh, yeah.
I think our house is clean.
It's
I
clean.
think it's pretty close.
This house is clean.
Let's get into the main event. We're hunting trolls, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Bob, I saw you had this box. What's on the back of it?
I got it. Look at it. It's words and pictures. Look at them words.
Whoa.
Pictures.
Wow.
Crazy.
Are they
Is
in
it in
English?
Yeah.
Yes. thankfully.
All right.
So,
PAL format?
Troll Hunter from 2010, rated PG-13 with a runtime of 1 hour and 43 minutes. This was written and directed by Andre Ovredal, and it stars Otto Jespersen, Robert Stoltenberg, Knut Nærum, and some other folks. This is a Norwegian film, and plot synopsis brought to you by the back of the box is as follows. The government says there's nothing to worry about, which means there's definitely something to worry about. It's just a problem with bears making trouble in the mountains and the forests of Norway. But local hunters don't believe it, and neither do a trio of college students who want to find out the truth. Armed with a video camera, they trail a mysterious poacher who wants nothing to do with them. However, their persistence lands them straight in the path of the objects of his pursuit. Trolls! They soon find themselves documenting every move of the grizzled, unlikely hero, the troll hunter, risking their lives to uncover the secrets of creatures only thought to exist in fairy tales.
Hell yeah. That is a good description of this film.
It's spot on.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, have you seen this movie before, and would you recommend people check it out? Juicy J, why don't you kick us off?
I had seen this movie before. Actually, to be honest, this is probably one of my most rewatched horror films, in all craziness. I've seen it many times at this point. I think I first saw it with the twins, Jack and Ross, at their apartment. And it's one of those kind of movies where anytime somebody suggests it, or I have recommended it to a few people and watched it, I'm kind of always in the mood for it, which is weird because this is the kind of movie I would assume that I wouldn't really be into, but it's super fun to me. And anytime I throw it on, I'm happy that I do. And I just think it's a really fun, accessible film. I think pretty much anybody could watch this unless you have like really serious problems with like found footage movies, which some people do. But yeah, I would recommend people check this out. I think it's a lot of fun. And I never regret watching it. Bob, had you seen this movie before? Would you recommend people check it out?
Yeah, this was my second watch. I think the first time I saw it was with you, and I want to say the twins. Maybe Randy was there. It was definitely like a group setting several years ago. So this is my second go around, and yeah, I give it a decent recommendation. I don't know that I enjoy it quite as much as it sounds like you do, but I think if you're into just creature features in general, I would say you'd probably get a kick out of this. So yeah, I'd give it a recommend. Randy, what about you?
Yeah, I had not seen this before. You've made a lot of hay out of talking about this movie, though, Juice. So it's always been on the radar. I just never got to it. I would recommend it. Yeah, I definitely agree with Bob. I don't think that I'm quite as keen as you are, but I enjoyed it, and it did. You know, I think as a found footage, as an esteemed found footage guy. That's my title.
That's you.
It definitely scratched a certain.
I thought you were the liminal boy.
The lemonade boy.
I'm a lemonade boy.
I love lemonade horror movies. It's my favorite subgenre.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, it's delicious. It's tangy.
It's my go-to.
Yeah. So I would recommend. I think that it kind of plays to some of my interests, but I think that there's definitely some things that I would critique it on. But I think it's a fun movie. I would recommend it.
All right, sounds like a pretty decent recommendation across the board from the Straight Chilling crew. We're going to spoil the shit out of Troll Hunter, and here comes your warning.
Spoiler warning.
Do you have that plot synopsis?
I got it. I got it right here. I hope you're ready.
I'm ready.
Be prepared to be bedazzled.
I'm prepared.
Be prepared. All right, here we go. A group of students from Volda University College set out to make a documentary about a suspected bear poacher, Hans. The students follow Hans in an attempt to secure an interview, but he continually rebuffs them. After following him into a forest late at night, they see mysterious flashing lights and hear roars. Hans comes running back, screaming, "Troll!" Hans then admits that he is hunting trolls, not bear, and the students ask if they can film him. He agrees as long as they do whatever he says. Hans fleshes out a 3-headed troll and turns him to stone. Hans then explains to the students he's tired of working for little pay and no benefits, so he wants to tell the public the truth about trolls. Pro-union movie here.
There we go. We stand strong.
We do.
Stand strong with the Troll Hunters Union.
The troll, yeah. We then see the Troll Security Service, TSS, unload a dead bear and plant fake tracks around it to help cover up the troll. Hans then divulges that trolls have been acting more violent lately and leaving their territories. He wants to get a blood sample to figure out why. They get a sample from a bridge troll. They send it off to be analyzed. It takes a few days to do so. They then follow tracks into an abandoned mine and find a pack of cave trolls. The cameraman confesses he is a Christian. At that point, the trolls can smell his Christian blood and they eat him alive. The replacement camera woman is Muslim, which is a little funny little joke there. They get the blood results back and find out the trolls have rabies. This also means that Thomas has rabies since he was bitten by a troll earlier. Hans attempts to turn a giant mountain troll into stone and finally succeeds before he tells the others to run for the highway. The TSS agents arrive to confiscate the tapes. Thomas ends up running with the camera and he falls down by the side of the road. The camera rolls into the road and we see a truck run that shit over just before it cuts black. And then there's sort of like a brief moment where the screen's black and then it cuts back in with a few seconds of footage and we see a clip of the Norwegian prime minister admitting that trolls exist accidentally, but nobody really seems to clock it or notice that he's slipped up, and that's it.
Yeah. Can I ask about that just for starters?
Sure.
Yeah. Rob, you're the trivia guy. You guys have seen this before. I'm presumably that's a real clip that they edited the actor from this movie
they
into.
Fade.
Because
they fade over.
Pan.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. It seemed like just a funny gag or whatever. But I also thought that maybe if that was truly something that was said, it could really be the genesis of the whole idea of this movie. So
yeah,
just watching that and laughing about it, and then being what if we just made a movie like that? Why not?
I didn't see any trivia that said that specifically, but that is definitely what I thought.
I'm looking it up
now. What it seems like.
Yeah. So I'm gonna see if I can find anything on it.
Underserviced on Norwegian politics.
I thought that same exact thing too. I thought did he really slip up? And then I was wondering is there a Norwegian
Otherwise,
word
that's a weird
similar?
Button.
Well, I was wondering too if it was another thing, we call people trolls in some way. So I was wondering if it was a slang because Hans even mentions, the only people who oppose these are protesters and farmers or so. So I didn't know if it was some type of term, derogatory term or something.
Maybe within the context of the film, the people thought he was talking about internet trolls.
I think
the troll guy next to him was oh shit. I think obviously he was not a politician.
The prime minister, I think, says something along the lines of well, we've got a lot of trolls, so we need more power lines.
More, yeah.
Which plays directly into the plot of the movie. So that'd be such a weird statement to make. What else would that really mean? I don't know.
I mean, power. You need power to be on the internet, is what I was thinking. So maybe I don't know.
Maybe he's making a weird
it depends
joke.
on how he phrases it, and
I'll look it up.
I feel like he's trying to make a jab, but it somebody took him literally and put it in this film.
Yeah.
Anyway,
could be. There, so
I don't know.
Speaking
of,
it's
a funny button if that's the case. I don't know how if it makes sense otherwise.
Speaking of some of the trivia, there's not a whole lot of trivia about this, but in Norwegian folklore, there's a shitload about trolls, and they pull a lot from that and interject it in this movie, which is pretty interesting, I think. There's a couple old classic tales. One of them's called the Three Billy Goats Gruff. And this, basically we see that happen in the movie where he's trying to bait the troll with the goats on the bridge. I
didn't even clock it. That was what he was doing. I thought it was just regular. That makes sense.
Just goating around, just playing with goats.
I like that about this movie. It's kind of like a Robert Eggersy sort of adherence to what should be absurd in a way that's like not quite absurd, like taking it seriously to the point where it could easily backfire and come off as silly as shit, because folktales can be silly as shit. But you know, the amount of work that went into keeping that, you know, making it feel on the level kind of saves it from that and makes it work, enhances the whole thing, I think.
But they do it a little different than Eggers too. And this is the note that like really kind of strikes and rings out to me in this very particular way that doesn't often happen, where they play it straight as fuck. And I love it. I love that they're stone facing it, documentary style, but it's also funny as fuck. Like when he plays like the "What a Friend We Have in Jesus," you know, the little Christian blood like digs and stuff. And and when he comes out in that suit of armor where he's gonna try to get the blood and stuff, it's so funny, but they play it like so stone faced that it makes those humor beats skyrocket for me. I love that like perfect balance they seem to strike. I love it.
I do think it's pretty funny. I don't think it's quite as funny as that to me, but like I chuckled at those things. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bob.
I don't think it's quite that hilarious, but I believe all the main actors, like every single one of them, is a well-known Norwegian comedic like personality.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
I don't know if they do stand-up or if they're just actors, but like they work in comedy and they're relatively well.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's probably why there is so much humor injected in this. So
I do have an answer to the troll thing. Okay. The prime minister. So apparently it says he did actually say that. And he was talking about the troll gas field, which the troll gas field is a natural gas and oil field in the Norwegian sector of the North Sea, one of the biggest in the North Sea, holding 40% of Norway's gas. It's called the troll gas field.
Interesting.
So it's the name of an area. Okay.
Yeah. So he really did. And they took that.
That's perfect.
I love that.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's great. And that, like, again, that to me seems like, especially because this is now a comedian driven film to our knowledge, like that could easily be just like dudes sitting around talking politics and then cracking jokes about that. And then that turns into like, well, what if we had a found footage movie with trolls? Why not? Like that's achievable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is a fairly funny movie. It's a subtle funny. I would say, like, I think it would be enhanced if I was watching it with you, Juice, or with the guys or whatever. I kind of watched it on my own, and you know, it was funny enough. I chuckled, but I wouldn't say that its primary goal was to be a comedy funny, so much as it was to be, not even a horror really, but more of like, almost like, it reminded me more of like a Jurassic Park almost, but not quite that adventure-y, you know, like not quite that to that height of adventure tone.
The goat sequence specifically really reminded me of Jurassic Park.
Yeah, that, and then like you know the like driving between his feet, that was a really incredible sequence. That looked great.
It did.
And then there was something, I don't know, there's some other like movie that it sprung to mind, but I lost it. If I come up with it, I'll say it. But it had like more adventure roots, it seemed like. And for a found footage movie, I think that is what makes it the most interesting thing about it, is that it doesn't really lean so hard into horror at all. And found footage is just a horror genre in people's minds. In my mind, like, I never really thought too hard about what found footage looks like if it's something else, like, entirely. Yeah. So in that sense, I think it's pretty innovative. And I think that you guys tell me if you disagree. I think that the effects really hold up pretty well throughout. Like, there's not a whole lot. Maybe that first troll is like, you see enough of it to where the seams show a little bit. But like they do a very tempered job with how much they show or how they show things. Like the night vision helps mask some stuff.
That was smart.
Cave trolls, things like that.
I think
too.
Yeah. I think the kind of cleverness of this movie, I've seen it several times. I would say I've probably seen this movie about 6 or 7 times, honestly. And I always think, so speaking of the graphics and stuff and the effects, I always go into this thinking in my mind, these graphics aren't great. You know, they actually don't really hold up very well, but I know I still like the movie. And every single time I come away thinking like, oh, those aren't nearly as bad as I thought. You know, maybe some of it's the kind of designs of some of the trolls, like the one where they have the long nose, or one of them's got like the 3 heads, but they do mask it a lot through the night vision. Or I think the one they show, other than the one at the end, which I think is probably the best looking one, is the one who with the goat situation where he's under the bridge. And at first they just do his hands, but then he actually gets up and like knocks his ass down or whatever. So you get more of it. But actually, it doesn't every single time. I think it's going to be worse than it actually is. And I always come away thinking like, oh, that was pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a serviceable graphics job overall. Like, I don't think there's a whole lot of moments where I was like, that looks janky as hell. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of that. And I would say that even like their designs or whatever, to me, like just having a passing knowledge of Nordic troll folklore or whatever, just having seen the visuals of it and like it matches. And so to me, good. Like that's perfect. That justifies any of that to me. So like the giant like hooked nose and like they look like where the wild things are, some of these things. And it's so like it's easy to see how like it would be easy to take them unseriously, and you kind of are invited to a little bit, but you treat them like true animals, like true creatures. And our hunter, he doesn't like, I don't know. I have a little bit of critique about him, but like he is like ultimately like he has a respect for them, and like that respect also I think is like is subbed in for like a respect for folklore. Do you know what I mean? Like I think that's sort of expressing a love of Nordic. The Nordic folk tales that they're expressing on film. Yeah. So I don't know.
I think this movie has a lot of love for like its folklore and what it's working into the movie. All of the troll designs, I believe, are taken directly from like paintings and other pieces of art, Norwegian art. And like I dig the troll designs and like how they look. Most of the effects hold up. Every once in a while, it's like maybe a little bit janky, but nothing that's too bad. And honestly, similar to you, just they look a lot better than I thought in my memory they did.
This is a 2011 movie. I mean, it could have looked a lot worse. Is all I'm saying. Like it could have looked a whole lot worse. I think if around the time this came out, I can't remember exactly what was coming out around that same time, but it had to have held up pretty damn well against. Well,
I know, like the Conjuring Deuce was coming out around that time, and that Crooked Man
that had
was
some
kind of like janky in it.
They had some loose stuff in that,
and apparently that was practical. It's
and it still looked.
I kind of liked that personally, but I was an outlier in that. Everybody else in the world hated that, but me, I think.
Well, one thing. So last year, a movie called Troll came out, and it was like a kaiju type of film and dealing with it's essentially like a Godzilla type of 98, which actually. So it made me think. Randy brought up The Hunter, and he had like some problems with it, but the approach that this film takes, I love, because when you think about even kind of like sitting down and putting on paper, like, okay, trolls, you think I would think the initial approach would be like what we got last year, or essentially like a Godzilla 98 where, the military's on it and you got the choppers flying and you got the SWAT team going in. But I love the kind of almost reality of this dude who lives in a trailer, who is completely underappreciated. The only one who fucking knows about this shit, smells like fucking troll stank, and just kind of gets fed up with it at the end, and he's like, yeah, fuck it, come along. What are these fucks gonna do? I'm literally the only employee to do this shit. I like that aspect of it, and I kind of like his just kind of straightforwardness and how he just, because he's the one who delivers a lot of the information that makes the troll lore seem completely plausible. And I think having that just stone face, I don't give a fuck, here it all is, works perfect for that tone that you're trying to strike, where you're like, these are reasonable explanations for this ridiculousness that you're seeing.
Yeah. I agree.
I don't. There's parts of that I like, and the problem I have with it, it's not a big problem by any means. I like that character. I do. The thing, he kind of fits an archetype to some degree of like, kind of like a Ron Swanson thing, but he has no grump to him. Like he's very acquiescing. He's quiet, but like he just kind of get like, I don't know. He's not. I understand like having him be like stalwart and unafraid of the trolls and having a kinship and having a guilt and all that stuff. I like all that stuff, but it seems like he's like never. It's like his blood is never pumping. You know what I mean? Like I kind of there's a couple of times where I feel like he should be like the time he screams troll is like the only time I can remember him like really like emoting in any way other than just like speaking.
Honestly, like I truly think it is just because they're Norwegians, honestly.
And that could be, I was going to say, maybe a cultural thing.
Because everybody in the film kind of acts like that. Even the politician makes these kind of like baseline threats like, I want that footage or give me the footage. But there's nobody who's like super intimidating or anything. And in my classes last year, I had a Norwegian buddy and we like go out drinking sometimes. And they're kind of like that, where they're just kind of like chill and mellow. And even if something kind of goes off the rails, they're just like, I don't know. I think it's just because it's a Norwegian film.
I think
that could be.
I think you're right, man. I started binge watching this. This is somewhat of a tangent, but it does correlate to what you're saying. I've been binge watching this YouTube channel. This guy who's like a competitive eater, and he's this British dude, and he's like a lot of the videos he's like traveling city to city in America, and each time he sits down to do one of these meals, like Americans are in there having like lunch or whatever, they're asking him what he's doing. They get super fucking excited about it. They're like, yeah, bro, you got it. And he's like, yep, just like an American, just ready to get excited about damn near everything. And I'm just like a British person, like the exact opposite. It's just like an American sensibility, I guess, to get fucking
it could really be that. All I can say is that like as somebody who is also like, there's a little bit of a gap to bridge just in language barrier, like because we're watching it in a not a native tongue, so like that extra layer maybe is what it is. But for him specifically, I wanted him to like, I don't know, get pissed at these people for following him a little bit more, or I don't know, like just give me a little bit more expression so that I kind of like, it would help me bridge the gap over the language barrier a little bit so I can understand even who's saying what. There's a few times where like the camera crew are talking and it's just like competing because it's found footage. People are talking over each other. So it's tough to keep track of who's saying what. And therefore like their motivations are a little lost. But if one of them is emoting a little bit more, you can tell, oh, he's the one who's yelling this thing that they're like, oh, whatever. Like, so like that was maybe a problem overall, but it certainly was a problem with that character because I wanted him to like have at least some, like, I wanted that frustration that you just talked about to be more apparent when he talked to that guy or when he talked about them. Like he seemed beleaguered, certainly, but it was like a calm, like kind of defeated beleaguered, which didn't match the level of capability and like badassery he showed and the calmness he did in the line of fire, even in the act of like subterfuge against the state. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That was my big thing that I think it was one thing that tripped me from like full investment, I think, which is tough because like found footage tends to draw me in. So
you're the guy, you're the found footage guy.
I'm the guy.
I really do. Because even thinking about literally every character in it, like they go to, the power station and nobody's doing. I think it's a very much like an American sensibility because they go to this power station and they're just very trusting. They're just like, well, yeah, why would anybody be? They just tell them whatever the information they need to know. And even the vet, she's like, is it cool if I tell him? And he's like, yeah, like nobody has any qualms with anything. I think it's just the region. I think it's just, there's not a lot of people and it's like, they're just chill as fuck. It's cold as fuck.
It just made some of the threat, like the threat of like the ultimate threat of things was like, it's the trolls. The troll scenes work because there's an imminent threat there. Right. Yeah. But the threat from the government seemed like underplayed because of that. And like at the end of things, like, yeah, the people disappear or whatever. So like, but like there was only one scene where like the guy is like truly threatening them and he's doing it so casually that it's like,
yeah. And he's driving around in a Honda.
It seems like the ultimate, it seems like the stakes are just that they're going to have their cameras taken. And it's like, well, that kind of sucks, but that's not the end of the world. And then like, I don't know.
That's how a civilized nation does it.
Well, then but on top of that, there's the rabies thing, which I feel like didn't serve a purpose. Like,
yeah, it didn't seem to. But at the end of the movie, is there more script that says like the students were never seen again? I feel like
they left. Yeah, without
there is, but you only find that out after the action's done.
Sure. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I dig the main guy, the hunter. I didn't really find him bothersome at all. I kind of would have liked to have known a little bit more about the other characters other than they are students making a movie. That's like really all you get to know. It's a little light on most of the characters. I think because of that, I was like really taken by the troll hunter because he's saying shit that's really interesting. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's an exposition machine.
He is. But he fleshes out this whole like world that we don't know about that is super interesting, I think, with the troll security service. And like they're the ones planting the bears to cover up the trolls having killed other wildlife around and whatnot. And the power lines being like security fences that the trolls can't cross, and they have their own territories, and all that shit was super interesting to me and like really well thought out, I thought.
That's the thing. There's like a lot
they made a form. They make a reasonable
that was the funniest
form. Yeah.
That was very
explode?
Funny.
Yeah.
The Slade
just checking boxes on this fucking form. It's just one form too. They really got it made over there. No, there's no 1040 form for that shit. One thing I wanted to bring up, what was it? I just lost it. But like the character of the hunter, like those are the scenes that stand out for me is when he does shit like that. But like it seems like he should be intimidating, a little bit more intimidating than he is throughout most of the film. Is kind of the only thing about it. I want to like him more than I do ultimately find him effective. You know. What was the other thing? Shit, I'll come back to it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Another positive I like about this, I just love them cruising through Norway because it looks amazing. Them on those tiny roads, and just it also makes it more plausible to me too, because we grew up in a place that doesn't really have mountains, and even living in Korea, it makes it clear because there's mountains everywhere, but the scenes that they do, I think, work in a way to make it seem like there really could be fucking trolls out there, because look how giant these fucking mountains are, and these towns are just tiny little things that are kind of scattered around. There's not much people, and then they like just go up these trails, and like the trolls are giant, but the mountains are huge, and so it kind of makes that at least a little more plausible to the idea of maybe there could be something giant out there that it would be hard for people to see, especially if it only came out at night.
Yeah.
So
nothing I'd ever smelled before in my life.
There was, dude. He kind of okay about the hunter. There's scenes where he reminds me of.
Henry Franzoni.
Well,
no, not
all those guys.
He reminds me of
the documentarian.
Prepare to be bedazzled. No, he reminds me of that guy because he actually points out a tree and he's like, "Oh, this is
yes." He's like, he's been gnawing on this. And that whole movie. And it wasn't just that stuff. Like you were talking about how beautiful the scenery is. It's not the same, don't get me wrong, but it has a more passing similarity to the Pacific Northwest, and that what you see in that movie, like the rainy and overcast and all that stuff. Like it had a lot of like visual similarities to that part of the world, although obviously a lot more like rocky and a lot more terrain than what was depicted in that film. Anyway, we're talking about Bigfoot Monster Mystery, by the way. Well, look it up.
Yeah,
it's fabulous. The greatest documentary on Bigfoot.
From the mid-90s. That dude.
Oh, God, yes. Come with me.
If Hans said that shit, I would have lost my mind.
Oh, dude, I would have shat my pants.
Oh, God, yes. Come with me.
Oh, God, just come with me.
I do think the beginning of this movie, like up until we see a troll, obviously, so like maybe the first 20 minutes or so, I did find myself the first time I saw it thinking like, is this dude insane? Is he absolutely fucking crazy talking about trolls? Like, what's he doing out here? And I thought that was like kind kind of like helped pull me into the story. Like, is this guy gonna like murder these people? What's really happening? But no, he's just straight up hunting giant ass trolls.
See, I didn't have the opportunity to do that because between talking to you guys about it and making the graphics for this episode, I knew there were trolls.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. The picture on the box is the last giant troll.
True.
So that's kind of how they advertise it, which is fine. I actually was going to say one of my critiques was kind of the beginning because it is a little slow. They're talking about hunting bears and stuff. And as you said, there's not much character development. So, it does kind of take a little bit to get into. But once the troll stuff starts rolling, I'm always 100% in. Even though I've already seen this before, I really enjoy it for some reason, even though it is a lot of exposition.
The exposition works because like their explanations largely are interesting and fun and to think about, like as a almost like a thought experiment. So and like it's portrayed well. Like even though I wish he was more emotive when he's explaining things, he's hitting the perfect tone of like the doctor in the movie explaining why he turned into a fly or whatever. Like he's doing that thing and it's perfectly fine. Like it's like okay, great. But like. Okay, so this is where like the characterizations and stuff like that, they do fall flat for me a lot of the time. In particular, the cameraman situation, the death of the cameraman, they make so little hay out of a death of their fucking college fucking colleague. Like, and they just hire someone. Like, why would you not stop? Like, I feel like there should have been something written in there to really keep them on the move, like keep them involved. Like maybe they can't go back for some reason because they're being pursued by the government now. Like if they had there has to be some way to give them a better motivation than I just want to see another troll.
Well,
even
to
though
be
that's
fair,
as an audience what we want, but
they did. So going with, if we're going off the idea of like Norwegians are just generally not showing a lot of emotion. Now, the actual death of him, I agree, because they do drop a line of like, he could have just said he was Christian, which kind of anytime they bring up the Christian line, I always see it as a kind of joke. So it's kind of hard when it's about the dude dying. But to be fair, their whole motivation moving forward after his death, they do a little line where they were like, why don't people know about this? People are dying and the government is keeping this from people. We need to expose this. We need to see this through and expose it.
No,
so I thought that worked.
I don't think it works though, because they have like footage of at least 3 trolls at that point, including the death of their friend. Like if they wanted to expose it, they got the footage. They got the receipts. They could just go to the news station.
The receipts. They kept
like, I don't know, like for them to go on another excursion after their friend just died and put some other poor woman in the line of fire without letting her even know what it is.
Yeah.
Like it just kind of seems like like I know that they need an excuse to go to the next troll and make the climax of the movie, but I don't think they really made a justification for it. They just kind of did it.
So, that's fair. Yeah.
One of the main characters like could have just picked the camera up and started filming themselves instead of bringing someone else on. They made such little,
or they could have been assaulted by the big thing right then and there. Like they could have just,
such little fuss about the cameraman dying that right after he got killed, I was like, wait a minute. Did he actually die? Like, is he still alive? Like, because they just really don't spend any time on it at all.
Yeah.
But then they hire that new girl, and I was like, okay, he's fucking dead. All right.
I love the little joke about she's Muslim. Will that work? And he's like, we'll find out.
That was pretty funny too. Like, there's definitely some like chuckle-worthy lines, but they're like, they're hitting me funnier now than they did in the moment for whatever reason, you know.
That's the thing. They're chuckling, and they're kind of this nice little splash because these people are so emotionless that it's on this like little subtle horror. And that's what kind of works for me. It's like finding a person who's always stone faced. They're not a bad person. They're not a sour person. They're just stone faced. But then if that stone faced person dropped little jokes, they would hit you a little harder because you're like, oh, this fucking person doesn't joke, you know, and that's funny to think about them. So that's how it hits me in this way. It's like, they're not bust a gut jokes. It's just they're very subtle and they throw them in and just kind of keep moving like nothing happened.
Life like jokes like that are totally cool. I just I struggled with it on I don't know, like there wasn't enough extremes of human emotion for me to really like understand when the jokes were intended to be jokes or whatever.
Yeah.
And sometimes things would strike me as a little funny and I'd chuckle at them. Knowing that they're intentional kind of makes them a little more funny. You know, like the form was obviously a funny gag.
Yeah.
She's Muslim. Will that work? That was obviously a funny gag. But like, I don't know. There's a few things like with the action, it doesn't help much. I'll say that.
So to clarify, Justin is saying Norwegian folks are not funny. Period.
What?
They're not emotive.
What are you talking?
They have no emotion.
I don't know. Why am I saying
paint with the broadest brush. We're painting with the broadest brush as possible about people who have very little knowledge.
Just wanted to clarify.
This is a good look. I want to make everyone aware of how good of a look this truly is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And like, whatever cultural differences, I understand that. So it is what it is. But ultimately, I still really did enjoy the movie. I think that like the action sequences for the most part worked really well. Watching that dude get slammed in his suit, it happened so fast that it really hit me as funny.
It was funny.
But I thought he was legit dead. I was like, oh shit. And I thought he was like dead for sure. I was like, oh, is this the turn of the movie here? I don't know. But
that would definitely like break his back or something. Like he got up and kind of hobbled off.
Yeah, that suit would do nothing.
Yeah,
dude. You're gonna get flung around by your limb. I don't think that's gonna save you. And apparently, there's the button. I guess was supposed to emit the UV rays. Is that what I gathered from that?
Oh, the red button. I guess so. Yeah,
because that happens under the bridge when he's off camera. And
also too, I like that they have a limit to them, like a battery pack or power source, because then when he's fighting the big one, he's like, "Oh shit, my charge ran out. We gotta fucking drive away." So yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess it's got like a charge to it or something.
Yeah. I thought that looked really good too. Like when the troll like beats the shit out of him, like it looked pretty believable. Like I don't know, that as far as like
it looked
the
impactful, if
like,
not believable. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't think there was
it looked like it had weight
troll,
to it,
but you felt it. You were like, oh, holy shit.
It's a tough one to pull off for sure.
I think this movie just generally is a very like economic movie. Like it was a very low budget. I think it was like $3 million or something, but they managed to do like a lot with a little. Luckily, whoever they got to do the computer effects clearly knew what they were doing.
Dude,
pull them off. If not, this movie would just not work at all. But I think they do a lot with a very, very little bit. I think they were going to make a remake and it fell through at some point. I don't know if it was going to be.
That's fine.
Probably an American remake, which would not be as good. But
I don't think this is about it. This is such a specifically Norwegian movie. I don't know why you would ever want to do that. That's it. Even if they made it, I don't know. It's fine. Let a good movie just be a good movie. People,
exactly. Yeah, just let it exist because it does exist in this magical realm. Like I recognizing myself, this is the type of movie that I wouldn't really think would hit me the right way, and this just kind of magically does because it is kind of silly. It's not silly. So like the premise is kind of silly, and they somehow magically pull it off and I think that kind of some of the reason I'm defending the emotionless is that's what really kind of carries me through is that if they were trying to do this really big, if there was some acting behind it and stuff, then I might critique. Well, now just if there was more bombastic things going on, then I don't think I would appreciate it. It's this kind of subtleness and just playing it so starkly straight with these little jokes thrown in that I'm able to kind of accept these graphics that look good, but still are not, the designs and stuff could be easily very stupid and silly is kind of my point, I guess.
I think there's a middle ground that you would still be happy with that still has like, what I would advocate for is not like a major bombastic scene or anything, but like like when he sees them out there, when I was like, just have him be like, what the fuck are you guys doing out here? And give them a little bit of a lecture even. Instead, he's just kind of like, well, you better get in the car. And it's just like, I don't know. It's a little, I was just like, shouldn't this guy be pissed or like feel anything?
He's
like,
at the end of his
does
rope.
He not care about them? Does he hate them? Does he love them? Does he want them around? Does he not want, like, I don't know. It made it hard for me to parse it a little bit.
He wants to get paid a fair wage, Randy, and he wants health
I know it.
benefits. Okay.
Good luck crossing that fucking picket line. Jesus Christ.
The fucking TSS.
Especially if he's a Christian.
Even in Norway, man, they can't get reasonable wages. Damn,
Dude.
they can't get it in Norway. Where are you going to get it?
Fucking nowhere, buddy. Pro-union movie, all right?
It's time to rise up.
I guess
rise
I guess he would be a union of one. He's the only troll hunter, right? Like, it was just
That's the thing. He's the only one.
I mean, that's collective bargaining in one guy is pretty good. Like,
yeah.
It's a pretty good situation.
Also, though, too, that's the only thing I kind of guess is I don't know. It's hard to parse because he tells the story of, you know, this company wanted to come in. We fought against it. I had to go in and like kill a bunch of trolls. But it seems like for the most part, he doesn't have to do this all the time. And this is the special case rarely, because this thing broke out. Yeah. So this giant one, the whole thing is this giant mountain troll broke through the electric fence and it has been driving the other trolls out of their territory. So as one troll kind of moves this way, it pushes the other ones away. And so he's following that trail. So, I mean, maybe for the most part, he's not hunting trolls every day. He's just kind of keeping them in line. But the stories he tells makes it seem like he's pretty active. So it's hard to gauge, I guess. Yeah.
And also, like, I don't know, like, what is the deal? Like, they never do really explain why it's a secret. Right. Like, I don't know, for all the exposition that exists in this movie, some of which is a lot of fun to hear. There's several blind spots where I'm just like, well, you know, that could have been interesting to know why they kept it secret. Like that could have worked into the plot somehow, maybe added some stakes.
It could have been
seems like there's
a
few things that are glossed
or something, since they slaughtered so many of them or something like that to benefit the companies.
The amount, I think how big that fucking thing, I don't know. I enter like my conspiracy theory brain where it's like, conspiracy theories are like near impossible to pull off when you have these giant secrets that are hard to hide. No more giant secret than a fucking 90-foot giant roaming the countryside. No, but like to conceal that would be like an astronomical improbability. So I don't know, like if they're going to have all this exposition, part of me wants to know those answers.
So I think if I was going to connect the dots, what I could say, because a lot of the things that I think you could connect the dots are almost just kind of passing comments, but in the same way that he talks about, okay, so in order to keep this one giant troll in line, they put up these power lines, and he makes this thing of like, oh, the people protest it, but we're able to kind of brush them off. We also get a story talking about how a company wanted to come in and kind of benefit from this area, even though it was laced with trolls, and they didn't want to, but he had to go in and slaughter them all. And so I guess the implication could be is, you know, we would essentially create a lot of red tape in an environmental sense of people trying to protect. I mean, everybody's kind of sympathetic to even the veterinarian. She's like, I wish they didn't have to go through this where they explode or whatever. And it's painful to them. And there's children and there's things like that. And so if you take it as like this thing in Norway where the capitalism needs to survive, but in order to do that, we have to keep the troll secret or else people would protest and we wouldn't be able to move along. You could connect those dots, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if they made that argument in there, then sure, but I don't know. It's just not really explored, and I kind of wish it was. You know, like, and I don't know that. Most of what I have that are like critiques of this movie are pretty minor, because ultimately I think it hits what it's intended to be, which is just kind of a fun thing, unexpected thing.
Yeah.
that uses folklore, takes it seriously, and just kind of goes for it. And I think it hits that mark. So I find it hard to be too critical. But at the same time, there's definitely a few things that prevented me from fully immersing, for one thing, and prevented me from fully understanding what the stakes were and things like that. Like, there's a few improvements that you could make with this that would go a long way, is all I'm saying, for me.
I don't have a long list of critiques, but I think one of my biggest critiques is the ending feels a little lackluster, somewhat anticlimactic. We get that giant troll showdown, but the way we don't really see what happens to our main characters, and the camera just gets run over by a truck. It just kind of cuts to black in a way that felt abrupt and not fully satisfying to me. That's probably my biggest critique, I guess, is the ending. That's
totally fair too, and
I kind of agree with that, yeah. Because I would almost want them going out swinging, but so I think if I was going to try to fix this, I like that we get to see the troll takedown, because that's kind of what you want. But at the same time, you want if they're going to just disappear into black. We said the government wasn't particularly threatening. I would almost want another troll to kind of come out, that you think that you've won, and then there's the second one, a partner or something, and they fall to that. That's kind of, I think, would be a little bit more exciting, maybe.
Yeah, that, or maybe to my mind, it was why don't you use this rabies thing and have a scene where they film the government taking their shit, and then somehow because it's their veterinarian, they know that the rabies is in there. They know this kid got stuck or whatever. Well, we're going to leave you out here to die. We're going to put you in a situation where, and then that's it. They take the camera and film him as they drive away. The other two die in the process of getting them. I don't know. I feel just a little bit more closure of some kind, but whether it be what you described or what I described or something else would go a long way to Rob's credit on that.
Yeah,
we could be fill-in writers, probably. I mean,
we could definitely make movies worse.
We could punch it up. Script doctors.
I'm gonna put a banh mi sandwich monologue in every movie.
If Jimmy Fallon's desperate out there, you could give us a call.
Fallon.
I just saw Jimmy, more about Jimmy Fallon doing something because of the writer's strike.
Straight to Jimmy.
Okay.
We'll ghostwrite.
It's a real Jimmy simp over here.
I'm just saying, we're available.
You guys want to go and rate this thing? I think we kind of touched on it all.
Sure.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's go and do it. Out of 5, Juice, why don't you kick us off? It's your poll takeover. How do you feel about Troll Hunter?
Yeah, this is going to be one of those movies where I try not to. It just doesn't seem to kind of happen naturally a lot, but I do recognize that I've got a kind of strong bias towards this film, where I remember the first time I watched it, and it wasn't any kind of special occasion or anything like that, or some moment I cherished or anything, but I do remember the feeling of being so completely surprised by this film. And since then, that surprise has lingered. And like I said, it's one of those things where if anybody hasn't seen it, I'm always down to throw it on and always have a good time with it. And I've thrown it on a couple times myself and just enjoyed it. And I really like the folklore aspect. I like them taking it seriously, and I like them building out this world in an effective kind of way, but also having some fun with it. Like I said, anytime the Christian aspect comes up, I love that that's a lore that's built into the folklore that they keep, but they recognize it's so silly that they're able to kind of play with it, but in a serious way. So I think that they pull that off really well. I like to see too, America, there's a couple of countries that kind of have this stronghold on kind of like filmmaking and gets the most attention. So anytime a film like this, especially low budget, comes out of another country that kind of shows how they might make a film or their sensibilities or their sense of humor or something like that, that's successful. I love that because, I don't know any other Norwegian films off the top of my head. And so it's nice to kind of have this movie that triumphs in that way. I don't know. I think this is super accessible. The ending, the beginning is a little slow. The ending is a little lackluster. But I always love that final scene with the troll. I love that. It feels like they put the kind of most money into that. It holds up well, driving between its feet and its tail swinging. But then also having the moment where he's like, I'm going to distract it. And he plays What a Friend We Have in Jesus. That shit like cracks me up. So yeah, I like this film. Heavy bias on it. And I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.
All right, a 4 from Juice.
Bob, out of 5, what you giving old Troll Hunter?
Troll Hunter. I like that they pull from a lot of Norwegian folklore, and like they seem to really kind of honor that throughout this story. The troll designs are pretty dope, and like the world building here is also like just pretty interesting and like for the most part well thought out. I think they do a lot with a little. I think sort of focusing on the power lines that are just naturally in their country, filming them and saying like, yeah, that's an electric fence for the trolls. Like you have to pay $0 to make that happen in your movie. You know, it's just like a very smart economic thing to do. They're also benefiting from just their, the natural beauty of their country. I think that adds a lot of atmosphere to the movie. I also think it was smart to show a lot of the trolls in that like night vision, like green night vision kind of mode. A lot of them are sort of in shadow or shot from a distance, so that like helps some of the CG go a little bit further than it might have otherwise. It's got a couple chuckly moments, a couple Jurassic Park vibes. Some of the CG still doesn't quite hold up entirely. Some of it looks a little bit off to me. It is a little slow to start, and I wish it ended stronger. It just felt like really anticlimactic. Even though the last troll like looks cool, he just kind of like gets defeated in the same way for the most part as like all the other ones. They just, shine the light and he kind of turns to stone, and that's about it. And then the movie just kind of cuts, and it felt like, well, we've kind of already seen that a couple times, and I just kind of wanted more. It just felt maybe a little repetitive, I guess. And most of the characters are pretty thin outside of Hans, which we really don't know anything about him. He just is kind of explaining the world that he lives in and like his job, which is interesting and makes him like fun to listen to overall. I don't know. I think it works pretty well as a found footage movie. It works pretty well as a monster movie. It's not one that like I'm super jazzed to like see again. I think once was probably good enough. I don't know that I'll put it on again. But I don't like hate anything about it really. It's like more good than bad, kind of down the middle, I guess, for me. I'll give it a 2.75, like a little over 50%, I guess. 2.75. I'll go with that. Also troll farts, and it's pro union. So
we forgot about that. Yeah,
got that going for it.
Aren't you going to give a half star for the troll farts, Bob?
Be a man of principle, Bob.
Is that my new role?
That's your code.
A wicked fart.
You like butthole stuff. We know this.
Butt stuff and unions. That's Bob.
Man, you're gonna have a very popular OnlyFans. I can tell you that.
It's a very niche audience.
Add butt stuff, Bob.
Butt stuff union, Bob. Randy, how do you feel?
I feel pretty similarly to what you feel. I think I kind of covered my main issues with this movie. I still think that I had a great time watching it. I also don't think that this is one that I will have like a heavy rewatch in rotation. It's a little bit, like I got what I wanted out of it for the most part. I might watch it again in like 5-6 years or something in a while, but I'm in no rush for it. I think I got what I came for with it, but I am a sucker for found footage. I think this is a pretty well, like one thing I look for in found footage, and most people do, is justification for why things are being filmed, why people are acting a certain way, whatever. And this does that job pretty capably, but the characterizations are what kind of like leave it hanging a little bit. And some of the decision making is definitely doesn't make a lot of sense to me. After their friend died, that's kind of the big one where I'm like, this doesn't make sense anymore. Like, if you want to expose it. Instead, you're going off to do more work and put yourself in further danger and as another person, a stranger. I don't know. I think that overall I had a good time with this movie, but I wouldn't say that it's near the total top of my list. I think it gets points for me for being an innovative use of the found footage genre by being like something other than a straight horror or even a straight comedy horror. Like, we've seen that a couple times now in the recent years, more recent than this. So like, it was kind of ahead of the curve there, but it's also not fully comedy. So I don't know. I like the idea of spreading the wings of found footage into other genres in general. And I think this makes a fair attempt at doing that. I don't know. There's not a whole lot that I haven't said already, and I don't want to be too goddamn repetitive. I have too much of that already. So,
and we gotta do what you've been watching. So
gotta do what I gotta. We can't go overtime.
I'm gonna cut Bob out if he does.
I'm gonna give it a 3.5. I think that this is a good movie, worthy of an eventual rewatch, worthy of being mentioned in found footage conversations, and certainly worthy in folklore and Nordic film to be in the conversation is in those subgenres. So 3.5 from me. I think that's good.
All right. With Randy's 3.5, that's going to put our aggregate at a 3.4. Let's jump into our Rotten Maters segment and see what the critics and users think about Troll Hunter.
Certified.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Rotten Tomatoes segment in which I'm going to have these gentlemen guess, with the best of their abilities, what the aggregate positive score is for Troll Hunter on RottenTomatoes.com. We're going to do both critics and users, starting, as we always do, with the critics score. There are 109 reviews from professional critics. I'm going to start with Juice tonight. Juice, what percentage of those 109 reviews would you say are positive reviews?
Well, automatically, I got to build in a little bump for this is a foreign film. It's going to get a bump. So I think that they'll kind of be surprisingly forgiving of it, especially it being a foreign film. Maybe they kind of know that it's driven by comedians and like the low budget scrappiness of it. I think that's going to go over positive because it is a foreign film. So with that, I will say 78.
78 percentile. Bob, what's your counter offer? What do you think that these 109 reviewers are going to give it?
Yeah, overall positive for sure. How positive? Juice went with a 78. I think I'll go higher. I'll take an 80, please.
80 percentile. Wouldn't it be great if it was a 79? It's not. The correct answer is 82%. Certified fresh. Bob's gonna snake it away from Juice this time around.
Snake.
Snake boy.
That's on par with Soju, though. 82%.
82%. Yeah. You're a real man of the critics, man of the elites.
Yeah, I'm elite. I know.
The coastal elite Juice, as we call it.
Remember how many of those critic reviews we read at the end of the segment and how many are good? Because most of them are fucking trash.
Actually, I'm pretty sure that Randy reads doesn't he use the user rating?
No, I usually do the critics. I do.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought it was users because they're if the critics aren't cutting it in the comedy zone, and I have the time to figure it out, then
they got to let us in there to set the record straight. All we need is 22 more 5-star reviews on iTunes, and we'll get
on it.
Let us in there. Let us in there, Rotten.
You just need to. It's like when we were trying to get our YouTube subscribers so we could get our URLs.
Yeah.
Please subscribe, please.
All right. There are 10,000 plus audience ratings for this film. 10,000 plus. Start with Bob this time around. Bob, where do you think those aggregate?
Still positive, I think. Much higher number here, so I believe that I'll drive the number, the overall aggregate down. Foreign movie means you got to read the subtitles, and there's a lot of dummies that don't like to read. How much lower?
Coming for the illiterate, are we, Bob?
Elitist Bob.
Well, I mean,
God damn.
now I look like an asshole.
Well, that's because you are.
Oh,
Yes.
fuck me. I'll take the 69 boys. I'll do it.
Okay, the 69 boys.
69 boys. Okay.
People.
That's a little
69
different.
people.
It's a little different.
Whatever. It's been a while.
In the file.
It's been a while. Come on.
Okay.
Juice, how many boys you going with?
Well, I'm not going to take any boys.
Don't take them.
Not even my boys. I agree with Bob's logic here. I think that's probably a pretty good guess. I'm going to go a little lower and say 65.
65 percentile. Well, boys, the correct answer is 72%.
Oh, you sorry, Bob.
I swept it.
Bob, enjoy those 69 boys, I guess.
I got all the boys.
Yabos
this
die
week.
tonight.
Yabos die tonight. Fantastic. Oh, yeah.
Not the Yabos.
I am
no.
the winner.
All right.
No.
The critics' consensus reads as follows. Troll Hunter is a mockumentary with an appropriate level of creeping dread, but one that also benefits from generous helpings of dry wit. I think that's overselling the comedy of it to me a little bit.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we're going to go over to the critics and see how many of these are funny or interesting. And I did get a chance to read these in advance, a couple of them. I'm going to read a couple here. Start with this one. Like the folks who dreamed up lycanthropy, the Troll Hunter writers either have an abundance of imagination or they've been smoking a controlled substance.
Ooh.
These boys be smoking reefer. What kind of drugs are these guys on? Am I
Maybe
right?
it's both.
What's the deal with these guys? They drink. What are they smoking?
You take the reefer and you smoke it and you go
I think they're wacky tobacco or something. I don't know.
Damn.
That's
Reefer
just so
madness. Wow.
You're imitating a rapist.
I mean, so are you.
Well, yeah.
So
Are we? Who are we imitating?
I mean,
Bill
that's pretty
Cosby.
Bill Cosby.
That was not a Bill Cosby. I can do a Bill Cosby. I choose not to out of
thought
reference.
you were-
Out of reference.
Oh, okay. I thought you
Randy
were going
has
Bill
that
Cosby
one
on that
dialed
one.
in.
No, I was not doing a
do.
Cosby for the record. Not a Cosby.
Okay. Okay.
I'm ashamed that you would think that's my Cosby, honestly. And that I would do a Cosby.
That's what I thought you were going to say. I was like, okay,
Both can be true.
continue.
Here's another one. This is what happens when the Norwegians try to make their own Blair Witch Project. We get three-headed trolls that hate vitamin D and references to Deliverance. I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about.
I
But
don't know what reference to deliver.
this man hates Nordic folk.
Or yeah.
He does.
Stay in your lane, Norway.
Blair Witch.
Just keep making
Project?
sweaters, motherfuckers.
This is a found footage movie, but it does not. It's nothing like the Blair Witch Project.
No.
The only thing that's similar is that it's a folk tale found footage
I
film.
guess.
But it's
I mean,
very different tonally and in every other capacity.
You don't see the witch. You see several giant trolls in this. Like it's.
How dare you try to make your own film, Norway, you pieces of shit.
Pledge your fealty to Hollywood, motherfuckers. Don't give me any of that shit.
Pieces of shit.
All right. Let's do one more. Genially simple-minded and more sweet than scary. Troll Hunter never settles on a tone.
Oh my god.
Fairy tale fantasy, supernatural comedy, serious horror, all are sampled to the detriment of the whole. I don't know what's happening on the front end of this comment. I have no fucking idea what genially simple-minded is supposed to mean or what's sweet about it.
It's not good. But it's not.
I do agree that like it doesn't quite settle on a tone. I think that was like one of the things I was circling around in my review. Is like, I don't know, like the comedy. I think this on second watch, I will find it funnier, kind of understanding that that's part of it a little bit better. But it left me a little bit twisted up, especially again because the acting was very, very baseline for the most part.
Man,
in terms of like tonality,
these fucking critics are terrible. They got to let us in there and fix it all. We got to fix it.
These are top critics. How the fuck do these? Like, I don't know, man.
Simple-minded, like, no, it's not.
Nah.
It's not.
Oh man, I just can't. Maybe we just smoke too much wacky tobacco. What do we do? I don't know. That's Cosby to you people? Get out of here.
Well,
all right.
What the earlier
go back and listen to the tape.
That one, not so much. I think you're.
Right. I'll roll it back.
Yeah,
that was literally what I did. But okay.
Rewind, hit rewind.
All right, I'm not going to listen back again. I'm not going to do that.
Everybody.
What?
I think I made that abundantly clear that I will not be hearing this again. This has left my mouth, and therefore it's in the world without me.
I'll do it, but I ain't listening to it.
That's right.
All right. I think
that's
done.
The end of Rotten Tomatoes.
That's going to be Randy's torture device when he gets captured. It's just you're going to have to listen to Straight Chillin' now.
Ooh, do I really sound like that? Oh God! Nah. They never told me Guantanamo was this bad.
Nah. Listen to these whack opinions you had 5 years ago. And your cringy butt jokes.
Halloween Ends is the best Halloween
butt jokes are evergreen.
Ever
I'm not worried about that part.
Oh my Lord!
I'm never worried about a butt joke. They are evergreen. All right.
I think this David Gordon Green really has this thing on track.
He's got it all.
I think he's really got something here.
He's figured it out. Michael Myers is a bitch. Hey, let's talk some trivia for a second.
It's totally time for trivia.
You said there wasn't much, Bob. Is there much left?
No, there's not a ton. I just have a few little pieces. So the like I mentioned, the look of the trolls in this movie, they were mostly lifted off of paintings. There's Theodore Kittelson has a painting called Troll and Christian Troll. So I guess also like the idea that trolls can smell Christian blood is like really a thing in their folklore. That wasn't made up.
I think it would have to be.
Yeah, I would assume that it would be. Yeah,
if it's not, then that's a really weird thing to include.
I mean, yeah. I just thought. I thought it was nuts one way or the other. I guess.
Well, it kind of makes sense to me too, having watched the show Vikings, which takes place in Norway, and talking about like the first king of Norway and stuff, because they were fighting against like the kind of Christian invasion coming in. And so if you're going to have this kind of folklore monster that's out in the woods and you want to kind of like steer kids or people away from the idea of Christianity, then yeah, it makes sense that like, oh, the trolls, they can smell Christian blood. They'll come and get you quicker or whatever. Makes sense.
They're gonna get you.
If you don't worship Thor, they're going to get you.
They're going to eat your butts.
Not my butts. Not all of my butts.
All three butts.
Oh my God!
There's always an extra second.
It gets longer. It really does.
It grows every time.
That's what she said. I've got two more little pieces here real quick. So I mentioned the Three Billy Goats Gruff, which is like a Norwegian folktale. In which the three Billy Goat brothers try to cross a bridge to get to the meadow on the other side. A mean, ugly troll below the bridge tries to stop them. And the moral of the story is to focus on...
And you can't piss on hospitality. I won't allow it!
That's the moral of the story. It's to focus on self-concern. The theme is do what it takes to overcome obstacles in your path. What a nice little tale that is.
Okay.
The last piece here is the search for Soria Moria Castle might be thought of as a progression. So like that's another thing that they allude to in this movie. I can't remember if like the troll stands in such a way or if like they're looking at an image. I forget how it is, but it's a very famous painting of a troll. And like the symbolism therein is that It's a progression. It's the symbol for perfect happiness. According to the legend, the path to the castle is not clearly marked, and the journey is solitary because all people are different and therefore cannot reach the goal in the same manner. So there's a little bit of Norwegian history, I guess.
Okay.
All right.
There you go there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Not a ton of trivia here. So let's go ahead and jump into our Cooter of the week.
Straight chillin'. Cooter of the week.
Juice, what is a Cooter and why do we hunt them?
Oh, Cooter's character type and a straight chillin' exclusive. Cooter must hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a Cooter, but we want the Cooter with most points. The 5 points of Cooterdom are sexual deviancy, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall look and attire, and overall patheticness. Boys, is there a Cooter in all of Norway? Let's find out.
The country's Cooter.
That one critic would think the whole country is Cooters because he just
apparently,
hates the Nordic.
How dare they make a movie?
Like artistic expression from these people? So like I don't think this is going to end up being a Cooter, but it's the guy that I hated the most in this movie.
Okay. Yeah,
was the guy who delivered the dead bear. The dead bear delivery guy.
Oh, yeah.
That guy was kind of a shitbag, right?
He was what, Polish or something?
Yeah, we don't get a lot of him, so I doubt we'll even have enough evidence to do anything. But like,
we could say manipulation. He's kind of like a hustler type of guy. I'm going to get you this bear. Oh, this bear's not as good. It's not what I asked for. Oh, this bear's just as good. Oh, what are you talking about? So kind of a manipulator in that way.
I would say sexual deviance because he's definitely banging the dead bears, right?
What?
Please. This is a serious discussion. We don't need that here.
We're talking Cooters right now.
We're hunting Cooters.
If you're
keep
not
your head on a
prepared
swivel.
to take Cooters seriously, then just
oh my god,
stay silent.
Maybe I read into it. I'm sorry. Damn.
Also, manipulation because the way that they do the bear paws, like the bear is. Well,
but I don't know, like the manipulation in general, because they're participating in a cover up, so they're manipulating the public. I also like, what was it? He said something that was like, I don't know. I don't know if he's quite arrogant. I don't know, a little pathetic. I'll give him patheticness, I think, because they hunt bears in a fucking zoo. Like assholes.
That's true. Yeah, they kill bear zoos.
That is fucked up.
They kill bear zoos. They kill zoo.
They kill bears. Whole bear zoos.
They killed off the bear zoos.
Oh god.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it'd be a tough sell to get him all the way in. So
he's got a little bit wacky looking attire.
Little bit, but I don't know what constitutes wacky overseas. So.
And
Bob thinks he's fucking bears, so we could put him in there on Bob's spurious claims.
Bear fucker.
He's a real bear fucker.
Bear necrophilia too. It's worse.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
What is that?
I'm an executive by day and a wild man by night.
Bob's going rogue. That's why I have to keep Bob in
Bob's
check.
just trying whatever he can do to get us not to cover what you've been watching this week. I say Cooter free's the way to be. Norwegians have it made over there.
Norway, they're too polite to be Cooters.
Yeah, the country is Cooter free in its entirety. You heard it here, folks. All right. So yeah, we don't have any voicemails this week, so that's the end of the show. Let's just go and wrap it up.
I've got my finger on the button to just mute this person right here, Robbie's iPhone.
And person. All right.
What you been watching?
It's been I don't know, like at least a month since we've done this. So
like a month and a half.
Yeah,
we got a lot to talk about.
Skipped them in the last couple episodes we recorded before our trip.
We've been watching a lot of shit. Randy, you're about to fucking nut in your jaws. Why don't you go ahead? What you been watching?
My God, I did. Okay. let's start. I got a whole list here. So one thing I wanted to bring up was a movie called Artifice Girl, which is a screener that we got for the Overlook Film Festival. I watched after we came home. I quite enjoyed it a lot. And then I come to find out that it was made by a local boy, a local man by the name of Franklin Rich, who was also starring in it. So I don't know. I just want to shout it out because that's fucking awesome.
DC?
Jacksonville.
No, from
Really?
Jacksonville area. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So good for him. And that's a pretty fucking good movie. I would recommend it even without that pedigree. It's pretty thoughtful, ponderance on AI and that sort of thing. Juice, did you watch it or no? You didn't you?
I did, yeah. And I covered it in my kind of like little wrap up thing or whatever. I thought it was good as well. I had no idea that anybody from Jacksonville was involved.
Yeah, it was the redheaded fellow who's like, who's in that film.
Yeah,
that's
guy,
Franklin Rich. Yeah,
okay.
He also has a pretty cool YouTube channel that I saw with some funny videos on there. So good for him on that.
They had a screening of it at Sunray when we were all in Korea, so I unfortunately couldn't go.
That's right.
But they had some of the cast and crew there, and they did a Q&A afterwards and stuff. And some friends went and really, really enjoyed the movie. And then the next day, my buddy who went to the screening was at a Target just shopping around and like saw the director and was like, "Hey man, like your movie?" Like chatted him up for a minute.
Dude, what if you ran into like fucking Romero at Ace Hardware or some shit?
Dead,
like,
unfortunately, but that'd be wild.
Then I would be scared.
We're fantasizing. Let's fantasize.
Zombie Romero.
Scary.
Yeah,
dude.
I mean, I'd let him bite me. That's fine.
All right, Randy has a long list to get through.
Keep going.
Actually, one other thing, I forgot to read this one. This is a review that baffled me from Rotten Tomatoes. I just got to bring this back up.
On Troll Hunter?
On Troll Hunter, real quick. As demythologizings go, Troll Hunter is neither the wit nor art nor social insight to honor the legacy of George A. Romero's Martin.
What?
Somebody explain that to me. Somebody explain what this person's fucking talking. This troll movie doesn't hold a candle to this other unrelated movie.
This vampire
what the
flick.
fuck?
The legacy of Martin.
It's like going to see the Lego movie. It's like, this movie's nothing like The Departed. What the fuck?
We need 22 more 5-star reviews on iTunes to set this record straight. Who's writing this nonsense?
Village Voice. I don't know. Maybe it makes sense in context. I will never know. I have no intention of ever knowing. Anyway, I had to bring that up because Romero sparked that. But all right, going down the list. Basket Case 2. I watched it. No hog jog. Big disappointment.
Sure.
So now we're getting into things I watched on international flights. I watched Tampopo, or I did up until the point where they tried to butcher a fucking turtle on screen, and I had to turn it off.
Oh.
A, because it was repulsive, and B, because I was in a public setting. So I did not want to see that. I did watch Old Boy though, so I mean that all flew just fine. Rewatched E.T. I finally got to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's good. Got to see 1917. It's real good. I rewatched In Bruges. It's good. Not as good as Banshees of Inisherin though, in my humble opinion. And then I watched Confess.
You watched it too early, Randy, so give it another shot.
Wow. I'm not that adherent. You don't watch it at my favorite time of the year? What the fuck's your problem?
It's a Christmas movie.
Confess Fletch. I watched that as well with John Hamm. I've never seen a Fletch movie. I don't know. This one didn't love it. It was fine. Watched Beau is Afraid. The reviews are correct. It is a lot of a movie. It is a whole lot of a movie, and I am just man. Ari's a man with some issues. Let's just leave it at that. On the television front, was introduced to a show called Risque Business Japan while in Korea, while on our downtime.
Hell yeah.
And that is a show about a couple of Korean dudes, a singer and a comedian, going to Japan to experience whatever cultural sexual stuff, things that are sexual in nature, going to giant fucking skyscrapers of porn, talking to porn actresses, talking to whatever, and just like because to demystify it and make it less stigmatized or whatever is the stated goal. But it's a really funny and interesting show. I like it. Ted Lasso, been watching the new season of that. It's still enjoyable. People are too hard on that show. They expect too much of fucking Ted Lasso. It's just a goddamn sitcom, people. Succession is incredible. It's still incredible. I'm excited to see what happens next. I'm excited to see how that ends. Started Yellow Jackets. A few episodes in, maybe 4 episodes in, maybe 5. And I'm enjoying it. I don't think that it's fully grabbed me yet, but I'm getting there. I think like I want to see where this is going. I want to see, there's got to be something that's going to hook me. I can just feel it. It's coming around the corner. In music, I got to see live a couple of bands that I really love, Laura Stevenson and Bad Moves. And Bad Moves was opened by a band called the Dreaded Laramie out of Houston, I want to say. No, Nashville. And they were also really good. Some good pop punk bands. Bad Moves is a local band. Laura Stevenson is just an old favorite of mine. And then last but not least, certainly not least, the one you expected, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom came out last week, and I am many hours deep, and it is extremely good. It's an extremely good game. It's lived up to my expectations and kind of blown a few of them out of the water, personally. So I love it so far. There we go.
That's it?
Nice.
Wow. All right.
That's the list.
That's it?
I zoomed, man. What do you want from me?
Killed it. All right. Juice, what you been watching?
Oh, I watched a lot of things. So I mentioned I watched Enemy from 2013 for the first time. Hear my thoughts on that very soon. I watched Polytechnic, and this is before the latest string of mass shootings. But this is have y'all ever seen Polytechnic?
No, I don't know what it is.
Who directed that? It's about a school, a real like school shooting that happened at a university in somewhere in Canada. And it essentially, I mean, it plays it like really straight. It's really gritty type of film, and it's Villeneuve.
Villeneuve.
Yeah, he made it, and it's a budget $6 million. It's like super gritty, but I mean, essentially, it's this guy who it was in the 88 or 89, and he just went in and specifically targeted women. Like, I hate the feminist or whatever, but just picked all women. Just
I wish that was a novel story now.
Yeah, I know. It's like it's like a really well made film, and it's upsetting, like as it should be. And but I think like I'm getting to the point now where, the only thing that like swayed the Vietnam War was like pictures of children on fire. So, I mean, I think we're at that point. I mean, shit is getting ridiculous. So I would encourage people to watch that film because it's powerful in its truth. So I like that film in a sense. I watched The House That Jack Built. Whoa. That's something.
I couldn't finish it.
I finished it. It's wild. This is another film. I think this is a Swedish film. It's called Aniara, Aniara. But it's a science fiction film. It's essentially about a spaceship that's going to Mars, to a colony on Mars that's supposed to take it's like a cruise. It's supposed to take like 2 months or something. Yeah, something like 2 months, but it like gets shifted off course, and they're on there for like years. And so it's about, like how society kind of deals with that, how they adjust to it, how it progresses over time, like cults start to be formed and stuff. It's not necessarily horror. It's just a really good science fiction film. So I'd recommend people check that out. That was really cool. I watched a movie called Primer, which is a time travel kind of film, really low budget, super nerdy. They like really get into the like quantum physics of it all, on a deep kind of level. And it was interesting. Yeah, it was interesting. Not amazing, but super nerdy. I watched a movie called Locke with Tom Hardy, where essentially the whole movie is Tom Hardy driving in a car. That is the movie for about 88 minutes. And it is amazing. It is fucking fantastic. It is like probably one of my favorite movies I watched this year. It's not new. I don't want to say anything about what he's doing in the car, what's going on. It is an amazing movie. I fucking loved it. It was so good. I watched Inside, the new Willem Dafoe movie. That was pretty good. And I kind of want to watch it again. I watched Aunt Mang. That movie is shit. It's real. I cannot believe. Yeah, the new Quantum Mania thing. Holy God! That's just the worst Marvel movie I've ever seen. It's really bad. On the flip side, I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Pretty good. Not amazing, but solid. I liked it. And I watched Mario. Surprisingly, Chris Pratt didn't bother me, but Seth Rogen kind of did. Jack Black and Chris Pratt are actually masked pretty good. Seth Rogen, just Seth Rogen. But it's a very kind of check the boxes, play it safe type of Nintendo film. I understand why you'd want to go that route, given Nintendo's history with movies and stuff like that. Not amazing, but solid, and especially like for kids and for kind of pulling off a Mario movie. It's very paint by numbers, but I think they pulled it off pretty good and mostly enjoyed my time with it. That is all I've been watching. Woo. Bob, what you been watching, my guy?
A few things. A lot of new stuff on the flights to and fro Asia. I watched a documentary that was called Jurassic Punk. It's about the creation of Jurassic Park, the movie, and there was one guy that was hired on to work on the effects, the digital effects, and he was told to like not worry about it, like they weren't going to work out. They were going to do everything practical. They had like everybody hired. So then he just like created this, I don't know, loop of a few seconds of like a skeleton of a T-Rex walking. And somebody saw it and was like, holy fucking shit. And then all of a sudden decided it was going to be CG'd. And he like was inventing ways to make this happen. And was like really kind of on the cutting edge of like computer graphics. And it's the story about like him doing that and like working against the grain to make it its own art form, and then sort of being kicked out. And his odd, probably difficult personality. It's a pretty interesting story about this dude and his art.
I cannot imagine what rendering times on fucking
dude. I know,
dude. Yeah. Like
I know that
days. Can't imagine. I would imagine longer than days.
Seriously, Toy Story. I think like it was the original Toy Story. I remember reading somewhere, and I'm probably getting this figure wrong, but it was something like 2 hours per frame or something like that.
God.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. So they obviously did like a billion computers at once. I gotta think.
Yeah.
But
Lord.
it's fucking crazy. I also forgot that I watched Tetris. Have you guys seen that movie Tetris?
No.
It's not great.
All right. Yeah, I thought that this documentary was pretty dope. Yeah, check it out if you have any interest in Jurassic Park or, computer graphic generation. I also watched Tar finally. It's a good movie. I dug it. It's a little long in the tooth. I want to say it was like 3 hours, but I had 17 hours on the plane to kill. I enjoyed it. Have you seen it, Randy?
I'm sorry. I just got to let you know, because this is not the first time you've said long in the tooth. That means old. That's a phrase meaning something is old.
It's long. It's just very long.
I just want you to know that.
Say it drags its ass, Bob.
It drags its ass a little
That's
bit.
the popular nomenclature people prefer.
It drags its long teeth.
I have not seen it. No,
Tar was fine.
I have seen it, Bob. Thanks for asking.
Well, Randy was trying to interject, so I was like, "Oh, maybe he has something to add." He doesn't. He I wanted to correct.
Yeah,
me.
I was just interjecting to make you look foolish. Is all.
That's all. Yeah. Justin, would you like to add anything?
No.
Okay.
I just want to, let you know I saw it.
Okay.
Nay.
Well, Justin has also saw Tar. That is a movie.
It was long in the tooth.
It was long in the
long in the tooth.
That's
an old movie, man.
It was long in the ass that it drug around.
Drooping that ass.
definitely a character study about this absolutely genius musician, composer, conductor. Great monologues, great acting across the board. Solid movie. I also watched Chinatown on the plane. It was the first time I'd ever seen that.
Oh, hell yeah.
De Niro absolutely kills this movie.
Whoa. De Niro? Nicholson?
Fucking Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson.
Randy is
I'm just gonna keep letting Randy correct me. Is that cool with everybody?
I'll just pop up videos.
De Niro.
Oh, God in heaven. It was a long flight. I dug it quite a bit. Just a classic that I hadn't checked off. I'm finally able to do so. Definitely was not anything at all what I was expecting. Definitely, it's a noir. That definitely, in my mind, I was like, oh yeah, Chinatown, New York. Not at all. It's in Los Angeles. It's nothing like what I was expecting, to be honest. Really enjoyed it though. Solid performances. I also watched another documentary called Jazz Fest. It's about the Jazz Fest that happens annually in New Orleans. And they interview a lot of the artists.
New Orleans?
Yeah.
Do you mean Louisville? No, I'm just
the famous Louisville Jazz Festival.
Oh, God.
World famous.
They interview like the guy that created it, a lot of the artists that have played at it like since its inception. Jimmy Buffett, like, I had no idea that he was so involved with it. He produced this documentary. He was like one of the execs on it. So he was on there quite a bit, and I had no idea that he like ever lived in New Orleans or like was a New Orleans guy. Did not know.
Yeah, he seems like I don't know, I guess he is kind of like a Gulf guy.
Yeah,
Gulf Shore guy. That makes sense, I guess, on some level.
Yeah. Really enjoyed that. Solid musicians on there. I watched The Usual Suspects for the first time. It was fine. It was okay. Just fine.
You're reminding me of movies that I watched that I fucking forgot to add to my list because there's so goddamn many of them.
You guys are on the same flights, you know?
The Big Sleep. That's another noir that I watched, and it's good. I've seen it before.
Make a list on your phone, Randy, like I do.
I do. It's just incomplete because there were so many goddamn movies.
I watched a couple like shows as well. Love and Death is a new show currently airing on HBO. I think it's like 5 episodes out or something like that. This was something that like I wasn't really anticipating watching, and I listened to an interview with Joe Bob, and he was talking about a book that he wrote back in the 80s that's about this tale of the show Love and Murder. It's about, surprise, a murder that happened in Texas back in the day, and Joe Bob wrote a book about it. And all of a sudden, like 2 shows have been made and released based on this exact story at the exact same time. Wow. Love and Death on HBO. The other one, I forget the name of it, but it's on Hulu. Anyway, the HBO show, I guess, actually had Joe Bob on as like an executive, and they're like asking him questions and shit, and it's like actually based on the book. The Hulu show didn't talk to him at all, or they don't claim that it's based on his book, but it's the same story, I guess. This has old Scarlet Witch in it, Elizabeth Olsen. Yeah. She's in it. Kills
Plemons.
It. Yes. Yeah.
Jesse Plemons.
Jesse Plemons.
And Kristen Ritter. A couple of fucking Breaking Bad stars on that one.
Team Todd, eh?
Fucking Todd himself is in this fucking movie, dude. Oh my God. Or show, not movie. I've been really enjoying it. Really enjoying it. I guess if you have any interest in like, true crime or like a dramatized version of that, check out Love and Death on HBO. The other show, this is the last thing I got. I've been watching Dave. A new season just started. Dave is on Hulu. It's about a rapper. His name is Lil Dicky. It's very comedic. Each episode's like 30 minutes. And it's just like really, it's really interesting, well produced. Got a lot of jokes. Definitely pulls at the heartstrings a little bit here and there. Got some crass humor though, so keep that in mind. But I've enjoyed.
You're rewatching that, right?
What'd you say?
You're rewatching that, right?
No, there's a new season that just started.
Oh, new season.
Yeah.
Okay, I was about to say, I remember seeing some episodes at your house. Okay, I see new season.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's probably like halfway through. But yeah, I'm digging the new season. Still funny. Check out Dave. That's all I've been watching. Are we satisfied now? Have we gotten that out of our system?
God, I feel like I just took a huge shit.
Ooh.
You did.
I need to let everyone know what taste I have.
Once I pooped in my pants in school, and I just left it in all day.
All day.
All day. That's what it's felt like for a month and a half, sitting in doo-doo.
Mm-hmm. Finally changed them draws.
Thank God. So yeah, that's what we've been watching. We don't have any voicemails since we just recorded like 48 hours ago. But if you are listening and want to call and leave a voicemail for next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. You guys have any prompts you want to throw out?
What are we covering next week?
That's a good question.
We are talking about Starship Troopers, chosen by your boy Naderade. Shouts outs to Naderade for picking next week's flick.
Nice. Starship Troopers.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know what to ask about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a sci-fi film.
Yeah. Aliens.
Yeah.
Creatures.
Aliens. Yeah.
Guns.
So, I don't know. You got
It's a Paul Verhoeven movie. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. You could ask something about RoboCop. That's all I can think of.
I was just gonna say, so in what you've been watching, I mentioned that Swedish like sci-fi film, and I was like, never heard of it, and was like very pleasantly surprised. Thought it was like a really solid film. It's not new by any means. So I dig some sci-fi, especially if I'm watching it before spooky season kicks off. So we got a couple more months. If you've got any solid hidden gem sci-fi.
Ooh, if you have any Christmas sci-fi that we can add to the list.
No.
Let us know.
There are no such things. It's either Christmas or it's sci-fi.
Obviously, I've spoken like someone who's never seen Jack Frost with Michael Keaton. Hard sci-fi.
So yeah, anyways, I dig on a good sci-fi movie every now and then. So if you got any hidden gems, let me know about it.
Same. I would love to know that.
Science fiction. Let us know. 904-638-3231. We'll watch those up until July 4th. July 5th, you're out of luck. Spooky season.
Yep, that's when spooky season kicks off, son.
All right. So, yeah, I think that does it for this week's show. Thanks for dropping by, folks. Again, slam Starship Troopers into your eyeballs. Get ready for next week's show. You can find us on social media anywhere. Just search Straight Chilling Podcast. If you want to join in on our daily Slack channel conversations, just hit us up on one of our social media outlets and I'll send you a link so you can do so. We have a really lovely group of folks on there. We talk about the movie of the week, of course, but also TV shows, video games, trade recipes, just chat about life and support each other. It's very, very nice. Yeah, that should do it this week here at Straight Chilling. Until next time, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.